Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Martha, and I'm a sales associate with Keble, and I'll be moderating today's session. All right, so before we start, I would like to just introduce you to Keble. So Keble is a real estate investment firm that makes real estate very easy and accessible to people. If you're already a Keble investor, you should know that Keble is very, very easy to invest in, and everything is very seamless, easy, from land investment to co-ownership, sole ownership, and even fractional investment from as low as 5,000 naira. Yeah. And today's conversation is very important because many people are looking for investment opportunities that don't just preserve wealth, but also generate steady cash flow for them. So, and a lot of investors, they don't really understand how the resort economy works and how to take advantage of the opportunities within it. So, in today's session, we'll be talking about understanding Nigeria's resort economy, how to earn cash flow from Cardiff Resort. So Cardiff Resort is one of Keble's projects. Yeah. So before we get started, just a quick housekeeping note. Throughout the session, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and your questions will be addressed at the end or towards the end of the event. Yeah. And then if you also have any questions concerning how Keble works or anything, please, you can reach out to us at the Keble team and we will help you with that. Again, thank you so much for joining. Okay, so while we wait for our host, I would like to briefly introduce our host. So to guide us through this conversation, we have someone that works closely with investors, and he understands the real strategies behind smart land acquisition and smart property acquisition. And our speaker today is Mr. Josemaria Agulanna, the CEO of Keble, and he has worked with numerous investors. He has helped many people understand how to approach property investment more strategically. So without taking too much time, I'll hand it over to Mr. Josemaria to take us through this conversation.
Hey Martha, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't want to jump right into this conversation because I know that it's possible that you've seen me, you've known me. It's also possible that this is your first time actually joining us. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone joining in now. Um, Trust me, today's conversation is one for the books. It's something that you would greatly learn from, right? If you didn't even invest in it, you will learn something really important today. And the second thing is that it's one of those good opportunities that you would probably find within the private networks of high net worth individuals, right? And we're opening it up generally to the public. So I think this is spectacular. It's a very spectacular, offer. Um, Before I jump into it, there are a couple of things, just housewarming kind of things I want to get off the way. The first is, what is Keble? The second is, who am I? And lastly is, why is this program important? So the first thing to know is that Keble is a real estate investment firm. We provide real estate opportunities across 3 different continents at the moment. So if you're interested in buying, investing in real estate, Keble has a portfolio of assets that you can start with 5,000 naira to tens of millions, and this offer is available in different variations, right? So this is what Keble does. If you're a newbie, if you're seasoned, if you're just getting started into real estate, Keble provides a wide array of options for you to get started in property investments. We only offer real estate opportunities. We do not offer any other thing. Our core principle is that we want to open up property across board. We believe that everyone should own property, not can, should, right? Secondly, who am I? My name is Agulanna Josemaria. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Keble. I have over a decade of experience in real estate investments. I've structured deals in plenty locations at this point, in almost 3 continents as well. I have a background in finance and accounting. So if there's anyone that has, that can be able to provide you with enough context on how to invest in property, I am pretty much the best person to help you in that journey, right? And lastly is the program. What is this program for? We do this now. I think we have a challenge to do this every single week. What we want to do is for you to understand Keble. You can ask as many questions as you would like, and for you to better understand the different variations of real estate, because there are so many things that are evolving on the sidelines, and we're bringing it to light. Most of the things that we're putting out on the platform, they're not new things. It seems new to most people, but they are not new. So what we are trying to do is to sort of educate as many people as possible on the offerings that we have, and hopefully you're able to key into some of them. Awesome. Hope we are good to go. Hope everybody heard me. All good? And be sure. Martha, you're my eyes and ears, so I cannot see anybody actually.
Yes, we hear you.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm going to ask a series of questions before I start. Who here has bought land before? Any landowners? Let me check in. Be sure. Land, you can just give a thumbs up. Fantastic. Great. Awesome. Yeah. Who here has stayed in a resort location before? Any resorts? Resort guys, fantastic. Resorts, great, fantastic. We're going to figure out a way to bridge those two things together in this conversation, right? And the reason why we want to do that is, I think last year when we pushed out land offers, one of the things that we kept on hammering on or tinkering around is the concept of income plots, right? We've seen how the whole market has essentially been growing. So if you've been looking at the real estate space for a while now, you've seen that in the last 2 years, people have been launching land offers and promising, say, okay, if you buy this land, they'll plant certain crops. So everybody knows about agriculture, and you get income from those plots, right? One of the things that why we haven't launched that fully on Keble is that there are a hierarchy of risk that didn't match up with what we were looking out for. So, for instance, issues of pests, taking up the crops, essentially nothing is left in that land. So I know that people have asked us, we want to buy land, but we want something that will earn income from that land. We want something that is structured in that way. And we've seen all these deals, but the risk involved is way higher, right? Obviously, there are developers that are doing really well with that. But when we looked at a couple of deals across board, we noticed something. Most developers doing this, they are not farmers, they are developers. And developers develop, they do not farm. So the best possible people are individuals that are able to develop the infrastructure and partner with another firm that is a farmer or that is an agro-allied, company. Most people that are providing these offers are not farmers. So there is a risk there in terms of trusting the expertise of whoever is managing that land to provide you with the right income, right? And there are a few that are successful, and that's fantastic. But there's so much risk in that it tends to be a little bit difficult to pull off. So we've been tinkering with a lot of ideas around, what is income plot and how do we provide options for people. We launched a video, I think last week, or is it this week? Yeah, this week, about the concept of Boku being a very good model for income plots, where you have the land and someone essentially leases that land and pay you something over the cost of owning that particular, or cost of holding that particular land for their businesses. Or we've tinkered with the idea of in high density areas. So high density means areas that are highly populated, right? And they don't have enough parking spaces. So think Yaba, think Suleri. Someone can essentially build a parking lot, and they can essentially, allow people to park their cars into that places, charge 500 to 1,000 naira. There was a news story. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Speed Darlington. He was complaining that he left his car for in the airport for 4 days, and they charged him close to 200,000 naira for just parking his car. Like he was just shouting on social media. So we've seen models like that. We've also seen event centers as well. This particular model, this particular offer is focused on boutique resorts, right? And what we're going to show you is one, what are resorts? What is the opportunity there, right? Secondly, how do you key into just by owning land, right? And we're going to deconstruct some of the, like I say, the model itself. We're going to sort of tell everybody how it works, how we are engineering it, and hopefully you're able to gain some of the offers. All good? Fantastic. I hope I'm very clear. I want to make sure that everybody's carried along because it's very nuanced. Yeah, fantastic. So we're going to look at one of the resorts that we bought into. It's called Cardiff Polo Resorts. It's at Monia, Ibadan. And we bought into, I think, close to 2,000 square meters of the location with the understanding that, one, great location, right? We, as someone that have been to a couple of resorts within Ibadan, Lagos, I'm particularly interested in seeing there are a couple of things that would bring people into a particular resort. You know, there are eye-catching things. There is a distinctiveness when it comes to how a resort should be structured. So one of the things that caught my eye was, one, the location. So Monia is very close to the train station from Lagos. And when the first time I went to Monia was through this train station, there were empty seats around me. Like you could literally see that a lot of people didn't know about the train station at that point. And that was maybe early last year, or even 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Now, you cannot book a ticket, a train ride from this morning. If you want to book it now, you should have booked it for tomorrow's ticket. You should have booked it now. You can, back then, by 10, 11 p.m. to the next morning, you can easily book a ticket or a train ride to Monia, but that's not possible now because every single day people are using it as a means of transportation. People are using it as a means of getting to Ibadan very quickly from Lagos. So it has become a very core infrastructure. And another thing that is distinct is what is the resorts looking out for. Every good resort has something that is particular about it. You know, they have some heritage about it. They have an eye-catching thing of maybe, oh, it's a golf course, it's a agricultural center. So they take you around. You get to see, okay, this is the heritage of the place. There's something that attracts you there other than just sleeping, right? If you wanted to sleep, you would go to a hotel or you go to an Airbnb, right? But this is a resort, so they tend to bring a lot of things that will attract you to that place, aside from just, you know, resting your head. So that experience is important, and I think Cardiff had a unique way of positioning it into a polo resort with other auxiliary services around. So you have like basketball, you have I think a football court. So many things that will bring families together, that will bring communities together, that makes a resort unique in itself, right? So, like I said, what is a resort, right? A resort economy is what happens when a destination is designed to encourage people to stay, and not just stay, to relax, to spend, and keep coming back, right? It's not just about, you know, swimming pools. It's about people you meet. It's about the experience. It's like when I say sleeping, it's like, okay, there's a hotel, yeah, and people just go, I just want to sleep and come back, right? And that's pretty much it. So there's a shortlet, and I go there and sleep, and that's it, right? Or if you want to relax, you can easily go to, you know, a spa, a bar, and just relax and, you know, spend time there. But you want an experience, right? And it comes with a lot of things all encompassing. You have the ability to use it as a spa, resorts, you know, restaurants. All of those things bring the value to what a resort is meant to look like, right? So that's typically, I wanted to paint a picture of what a resort is meant to look like, right? So vacation. Vacation-like living is becoming a major trend in Nigeria as more people look for homes that offer comfort, relaxation, luxury without living in the city. And I've had the privilege of speaking to people whenever I'm going to Ibadan and I use the train station. I used to see when I say school children, they'll you see their parents or you see their guardian or you see a teacher taking them for excursion, or you would see someone going for honeymoon. So they're very lovey together in the train station. Or you see an older Nigerian with his wife, a couple of kids go there as well. And I've always wondered, I'm always curious. There's a time I engaged with somebody and literally he was going to, I think, IITA, and what he was looking out for, the first thing he said was, this Lagos stress, I want to run away from it, right? I want something different. I want fresh air. That's typically what people say. I want cleaner air, or I want a situation whereby I just get to escape. Um, and I think the notion is that Lagos is becoming expensive. It's pricing people out of the market, and people want a situation whereby they are able to experience almost similar luxuries, but in a unique way that isn't like a block of different flats all conjoined together, right? So this creates a unique opportunity, right? When you go through the train station, that person that is going from train station to IITA will probably spend close to an hour getting there. However, from the train station to Cardiff Polo Resorts, you're spending roughly around 20 minutes to get there. So someone will literally pass Cardiff City to get to another resort. There is an additional 30 minutes ride to that just to experience almost the same or even slightly less standard experience, right? And one of the cool things to even add to everybody's knowledge is resort style communities are becoming very attractive to investors because they do not only appeal to buyers, they also appeal to renters, short stay guests, remote workers, and people looking for leisure experiences. So it's becoming a bit more, a bit more standard. It's becoming appeal, especially in locations that they feel is has the right ambience and people can experience better lifestyle in that location. So about 35% of Nigerian professional workers now work hybrid or choose remote jobs. There's a time we were having a conversation about the Ibadan experience, and I was telling people that people are moving from, as people in Lekki being priced out and moving to Yaba and Alagumeji, people in Alagumeji are also being priced out and moving to somewhere further. And I think I've had the conversation 2 years ago with a couple of people, and the whole thing was, oh, we want to move to Ibadan. And I keep asking, what is in Ibadan? Why is everybody moving to Ibadan? What's going on there? And now in 2026, you're seeing events that you would see in Lagos only happen in Ibadan. So you see tech events now. They are now similar to what you see with Tech About. You see a similar cluster of that happening in Ibadan. Parties that you typically only see in Lagos, you're seeing the same thing happening in Ibadan. What's happening? It means that a lot of people that had lived in Lagos have essentially moved their livelihood to Ibadan. Maybe they're remote workers as well, and they want cheaper rent, and that's happening there. But what's also happening is that they want that same experience that they would have in Lagos, and they want to have almost a mirror of that happen in Ibadan as well. And that is something that is unique to that particular movement. So you get to see that a lot of people that are moving there still want the exact same experience, but for a lesser cost, if that makes sense. Yeah. As of the Nigerian tourist sector is growing, we have currently around 8.8 trillion in GDP. And I think that or it's contributed 8.8 trillion to GDP. When you think about when it comes to costs of travel, when it comes to cost of movement. Everyone is looking for something that they can experience almost similar, well, I say similar experiences, but for a lesser cost, right? And you see people creating those mini pockets of, that in Lagos, and you see people create those mini pockets of that in Ibadan. Now, what are we trying to sort of provide? We think that buying land is how you can enter, or is one of the ways you can be a participant in a resort economy. And before a resort community becomes a cash flow asset, it starts primarily from land. So when we're thinking from first principles, we find the land, we make sure that the land is in a good location, we build out the facilities, and we create the hub for that facility. And yesterday, I had the privilege of going to 2 resorts. One, Lakwe Resort Center, where we have a project there happening. For people that bought into one of the ownership offers, they are currently like doing the land, the road network, and putting interlocking to make sure that it's easy for cars to move around. Then we went to Alaro City, right, where it's a mixed-use city, and that one is even further down. Is that there? A land there is going for $250,000 if you want to buy it, and they say if once you buy it, you can start building on top of that. And one of the things that we kept on thinking around is, everything's foundationally, everything starts from the land. If you're able to get a great location and you're able to participate in that particular land, you can essentially dictate what is being built. You can build out something fantastic. You can create an experience from there. So land moves away from being just fixed assets that is lying around to something with very core utility, right? So that's what we're trying to show you guys today. So land may look ordinary today, but once roads, leisure centers, hospitality, events, every one of us, I'm sure we're staying in an office or in our homes now, it started from a bare land. And someone essentially had to make the decision to build units on top of that land. Yeah, so destination need land for accommodations, leisure, food, wellness, recreational events and the likes. And investors who buy land early are buying a position in a future lifestyle economy. And I think that what we're doing here is to provide an option for people to participate in the land as an entry ticket and allow for cash flow from the resort to be paid into the landowner's account. Now, how land starts making money. So I mentioned something quite early, which is when income plots are becoming a thing, and a lot of people are figuring out ways to position themselves in a way that makes sense. I spoke about car parks. I feel like that's very low, it's high efficient, high margin kind of income plots. You're able to literally not do anything and cars can park. I would build a structure that allows cars to park in different floors and I just make money from there. But like the whole process exists because if Lagos is already becoming a high density, highly populated area, but there are pockets of areas that don't even have enough areas to park their cars, you're able to provide this option and allow yourself to earn from that as well. And I can see that already. Like there's so many places even in Yaba that offer that as a service. Obviously, land can also be used as short-let apartments, but you have to build those structures there. There's, like I mentioned earlier, there's an agricultural side to it, and people are essentially leasing out their land, and farmers are using it to cultivate, whatever crops, and they earn from the harvest from there. And those are great examples. Another one of my favorites is event centers. People are able to use a particular space to plan for certain events. You can put your canopies there. I've seen people actually add structures, maybe like they use it in 2 forms. Someone have used their structure as a hall, and they also used it as a warehouse. So half of it was used as a warehouse, the other half was used as a hall. So, and there are so many ways people are using their land to provide high leverage outcomes for themselves. What if you own land but cannot build yet? I think one of the things that we've noticed across board is, in fact, with Keble, when we started pushing our land offers, there are certain hurdles that we try to reduce for every single customer that bought land through us. The first thing ideally is, and these are things that I personally didn't like about buying land in Nigeria, was the weird documentation style. So we simplified it for everybody. We also simplified the pricing structure. So when you bought land with a typical developer, they would tell you that, okay, this is what we advertised, but there are so many, there's a second fee, there's a documentation fee, there's a development fee, so you see all of this, and sometimes it comes to you as a shock because the agent that you are speaking to doesn't even know that those fees exist. And if he knew, he might not even tell you because he wants to close the deal. So certain things like that, we essentially wanted to compress that into one singular pricing. So when people buy land through us, they're able to essentially pay full price, and they don't have to think about any added fees to themselves. In fact, some people actually pay at a discount because we are buying in bulk, right, as a group. So I think that's very helpful. The second thing that we told everyone that bought land through us is that we can help you resell. Because the issue with buying land in Nigeria is that whenever you want to sell it, it now becomes a problem because they don't have maybe economies of scale to do that, or they're not even prioritizing your land. They've finished selling off your land, they've moved on, right? And you're just stuck with the land forever, right? You're forced to now, either search for other, they'll tell you that, okay, go and look for an agent and start selling it from there, right? Which is quite difficult because most people do not even know agents, they just know the company, right? So what we did was that we said, hey, if you bought land through us, we are going to help you resell, right? And the idea is that we allow you to actually make the process way, way better, 10 times better in terms of your experience when you're buying land through us. The other thing I've seen people also do is when people buy land, they tend not to know what next to do with the land. And that's a really good, what I say, when you're buying land, people just say, buy land and wait, right? And that is in the construct of how people are buying land. I think that's also an advice on its own. For newer people, for people that are, what I say, people that even are older. I'm talking to people that are in the older point of their lives. Buying land and waiting, they don't have the luxury of waiting. They want to buy land and earn, right? Some people are much younger, so they can afford to wait for 10, 20 years. While some people are slightly quite impatient, so they don't have the ability to wait for that long. The idea of providing income plots is to structure something like a JV, whereby you buy the land and we finance the construction of that land, right? However, Keble picks the land, Keble does the analysis on that land, Keble pitches the land to investors, and you're able to get some high leverage on your own piece of land that you bought on the Keble platform. So how does that look like? The entire idea is that when you buy land especially when you buy income plots on Keble, you do not have to think of an exit plan. Someone essentially is thinking of an exit plan from day one. So there is a mapped out plan for you to exit. And also there is a mapped out plan for you to earn income from that plot, right? Joint ventures are not new, right? Joint ventures are very common because they allow people to combine resources, right? We are doing a project in Lekki now, and we didn't bring the land, right? The developer didn't bring the land, the financier didn't bring the land. Essentially, the landowner said, hey, this is 900 square meters of land, what can you guys do with it, right? And we started going to work to see what we can do from there. So the entire idea is to allow for people to structurally benefit from providing resources and combining resources together to be able to have a much, much bigger outcome. So that land, for example, that maybe is around closer to, I don't think 900 is not too, it's too much, probably closer to 700 square meters. You're just bringing land. The landlord is not doing anything. We're building like 16 units of apartments there, and I think the landlord is taking like 4 units, right? Closer to 5 units at this point. And what that does is that the landlord essentially has converted 1 unit of apartments into multiple apartments, right? And there is some leverage of value that he has generated for himself. So what he can do with those 5 units of 2-bedroom apartments or 1-bedroom apartments is that he can sell. If he sells 1 or 2, he has made back the value from the land that he has. The second thing is that he can rent it out. So that's easy. He gets consistent cash flow. The third thing is that he can put it on, Airbnb or Shortlet, and he, assigns a property manager to handle that, right? And on the financing side, they take a couple of units, they sell off some of them, and they essentially share the profit from there, right? But what the landlord had to do was just to own the land. That is all. And he's able to maximize the value of the construction being built on that particular land. So I think that is a very, very unique way of allowing people to actually own something that is far much more valuable than land, right? In simple terms, you do not always need to build alone. There is actually a benefit of coming together and building something quite unique. Yeah. So, interactive section. Would you invest or just watch? Before we show you a case study, so let's test this out. There is a poll. I think they should be sending the poll to you guys. What do you think increases land value the most? Is it title? Is it infrastructure? Is it location? Is it lifestyle amenities, or is it all of the above? I want to see. Is there a link, or is it in the chat that we're meant to do this? Just checking.
It's in the chat.
Okay, fantastic. So I want to see if everyone is actually following up. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think increases the land value the most? Some people say location, location, location. Obviously, title is important. Without title, you do not have anything. Infrastructure is good, and lifestyle amenities, or is it all of the above? So let's see. Marta, I don't know, you're checking the charts for me. That would be helpful.
Yeah, 2 people said, 4 people actually said all of the above.
Fantastic. Okay, great. And again, I think I will stick to all of the above. A lot of things have to really come together to make something unique, something valuable, right? And I think that if you're able to have a combination, I call it like there's some things I used to say in the office, like, there's a trinity of things that you need to allow for a location to be worthwhile. There's the location, there's the title, there's the infrastructure. If you have those 3 things, you're able to actually have some value being extracted from that project. So those are core things. Lifestyle is, it's subjective. Like, what is lifestyle to me and you might not be, lifestyle to other people. Some people are already living in lifestyle on a daily basis, and that could be heaven to other people. So I think if you have the location right, if you have the title right, if you have the infrastructure right, you're able to balance everything together, and you create some level of trinity of value for your projects. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. So there are a couple of myths and facts that I wanted to go through. So the first one is resort land is only for rich people. We've actually debunked it so many times. In fact, like, one of the things that we tend to do in Keble is to do a lot of debunking across all the they're not even myths again, they are actual stated facts, but because Keble just naturally exists within the same timeline, we're able to figure out alternative ways for people to get into some of these assets. So for example, ownership can make entry smaller and more affordable. I was speaking to a customer, was it yesterday? We spoke to 2 or 3 customers yesterday, and one of the things that they were looking out for was to buying into Declan, one of our Lekki projects. And again, this property is worth over 200 million, and they are paying 5 million for it. They're getting every single benefit that whoever is paying 200 million would get, and they're paying 5 million for that. And it's someone literally asked me, this feels too good to be true. It does, but it exists, right? So the fact that that exists, and the fact that we've structured the projects and we've structured the investment itself to exist with that same value, the only difference is that you're not sleeping there 24/7, right? Every other benefit is there. If the value of the asset goes up, the value of your slot goes up. If the rental income goes up, the rental income that you earn goes up as well. If you want to use it as collateral, which is something that we're pushing out later in the year, you can use it as an asset for collateral. We have complimentary free night stays every single year. So if you own a slot, you get access to using the slot for your own personal, using the apartment once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year for your own personal business, right? And I think that added value is something that's quite unique for yourself. Right. So the second is like land only makes money when you sell. I think that you can hold land and still make money. So this is something that we are bringing into the fold, that, hey, you do not have to wait. There are a lot of things that you can extract. I was watching it, I don't think it was on Instagram, and someone literally opened a sports center. And guess what he did? He created a long tennis court, right? He also created there's this new sport called paddle. I don't know if everybody's familiar with it. So essentially, he just puts nets and got a gym, a paddle coach, and a long tennis coach. And they are charging really cool, like he's making money from there. That land, he bought the land. There's another one that's also leased the land. So they're able to not buy the land entirely, but they're able to use the land, make some cash, and be able to pay off the landlord, right? And whoever is coming in, they're paying a membership fee. In Lagos here, I think for my long tennis, I pay closer to 80K to 100K every single year, right? Whether I play, I don't play, I pay that. And I think in that scenario, I think they were paying closer to $50 every single year for playing long tennis anytime they want to, right? People said I've seen that model happen in the US. I've seen it happen I think 2 occasions. I've seen a video happen in India, right? People just had land and they just made use with what they wanted to do. And the reason why they were able to do that is because in that land, it's in a location whereby people wanted to experience something unique, so they wanted to have sports center, they wanted to, mingle, meet people that are of like minds and, are able to build a community there, right? So I think that that's also valuable as well. It's something that we're doing right now. Ibadan is too quiet for resort style investment. Even the fact that Ibadan has, in a way, when you think about it, if you've ever been to a resort and it's in the middle of a city, that is a hotel, right? Like every typical resort that you've seen is in a quiet place. You have to really travel there. I don't know if anyone have been to Ikogosi before. It's in Ekiti State. It's inside. It's very inside. I was almost lost even getting there, right? But I think it's by design. Like you want a situation whereby everybody wants to, struggle to get there, but in a way you want it to be the journey has to be unique in its own way for it to stand out, right? So every single resort I've been to, actually, there is this there's this flow of I'm leaving the city, I'm going out, I'm searching, I'm going to find something unique. If I cannot build now, there's no point. I think that you can hold, you can sell later, you can watch something, appreciate, you can generate income as the resort matures. So there are multiple ways you can actually do investments in real estate, and we're trying to make sure that everybody is carried along at this point. Yeah, all good, fantastic. Yeah. So I've mentioned about Cardiff Polo. I think on the platform is still coming soon. Hopefully after today, if we are able to get people that are interested, they'll be able to launch it out as we go along. So what is Cardiff Polo and Resort, right? It's the first integrated equestrian resort estate in Ibadan. It has a full polo arena with horse stables, as well as courts for tennis, football, and basketball, right? So it's it's focused on an experience. And I think I mentioned it earlier. Every single resort has its own experience. You want something outside the norm. You want to do something. You want to experience something. And I think that is a valuable thing, right? There is nature, there's sustainability. They're planting over 1,000 trees there to focus on zero emissions lifestyle, right? So very ecocentric, if that makes sense to you. Obviously, there are mixed amenities. I mean, right now, aside from the sports elements that is in front of the estates, people are building cabins and lodges, right? We're taking a different approach, obviously, but that is what we're building. That is what people are already building. I think someone's already building their bungalows at the moment. So that people are focused on creating that mixed use amenities for different areas and people that want to use the estate for different opportunities, but mostly it's focused on a resort-like experience, right? Obviously, like we couldn't do this without some clear titles. So it's CFO. I think last year in August, Interior Minister was there. We've also worked with local government there to make sure that it's stable and safe, and the titles are in good shape. So all of that is actually fine. We're in a good location that makes sense. Again, these features make Cardiff far more than just an ordinary land. It's area that draws people in, whether you're a tenant or a visitor. Like I said, I've mentioned earlier about Monia Ibadan, and there's a location advantage to it. But there's also like Ibadan itself being the third largest city and one of the fastest growing corridors that we have right now. There's also the proximity. So the fact that it's very close to Lagos, it has the benefit of experiencing some of those, will I say, price arbitrages. You're seeing some people experience almost the same level of capital appreciation as they will see in Lagos, but for a lesser entry price, right? And I think the rail line has actually opened up the city even better, so people can easily come in, work, and go back. I do think that they need to. I think in terms of the rail station, there needs to be more times for people to move in and out. I think right now they just have two in the morning and in the evening, right? So there was a time I spent literally the whole day just waiting. So I think that it's possible to have maybe three options within the particular day. Lower cost, high potential. So land in Ibadan still remains quite affordable when you compare that to areas in Lagos. For instance, areas like Akobo, Jericho, saw prices double after new highways were built. So this is a situation whereby you're buying into an area that it's currently growing and it's growing at a really good pace, right? And you can hear things like double, right? That's something because infrastructure is being built. It's almost similar to people that are buying land in Aja or Gombo side, or that bought land maybe 2-3 years ago, and all of a sudden, like because of the coastal road, the pricing has essentially changed, and you hear things like double. You don't hear things like double in like Lekki. Like there's nothing doubling in Lekki. It grows and it grows really well, but the notion of it doubling in a year because something happened, it's already been built. When we're talking about Lekki markets, we consider it as a mature market at this point, or Ikoyi is a mature market, So with each market, they have emerging markets, fast growing, and the likes. And this one is just focused on fast growing. Yeah. So, how cash flow can happen? Let me see if I can show you guys something real quick. Our fact sheets. Give me a second. Okay. Let me see. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Martha, tell me if you can see this. Just checking.
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. So, this is our fact sheet, right? Um, Now, before I go into like, I'm not going to explain every single thing here. We could, I think we can share it, and you can also request for it. But just to save everybody's time, I'm going to touch on a couple of key areas. I'm going to mention a couple of numbers, and we can always, if you're really keen and interested in this offer, we can, have a conversation afterwards on how you can key in. All good? Great. So the first thing to note is that we have about 2,000. Just checking. Yeah. Okay. James, you can probably ask your. James, you have a question now?
I can't see. No, I can't see your screen.
Oh, okay. Is that the general consensus? Like, Martha, can you see my screen? Let me be sure.
Yes, I can see your screen.
You can see your screen. Yes, I think, James, you can check the network so that you can confirm. Okay. All right, good.
It is good now. It is good now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Awesome. So I think one of the unique things about um, this offer is the outcome is actually very nice, and I'll get to that in a bit. But it shows what land can actually do, right? And land as a utility on its own, if that makes sense, right? Now, we are able to look at a couple of things, but a couple of highlights that I'll take with you is that one, we're building 4 blocks, right? On this on the 2,000 square meters. So 4 residential blocks, right? Block A, block B, block C, block D, right? Each of those blocks would be focused on studio apartments, right? And those studio apartments are slightly bigger, around 40 square meters for the studio apartment. So really big, and compared to what you typically find in Lagos. Lagos, you probably see around 30 to 35. But just focused on what are you trying to achieve. So in this land, we're building over, I think close to over 44 boutique resorts apartments, right? Studio apartments. And we want it to have, a king size bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, a wardrobe, a private balcony for each of the studio apartments, right? The model is that you're owning square meters of the land, and whichever pool you pick, that's fine. And in year 2 to 3, we build on that particular land. So you just buy land, and we are providing financing, we are providing construction expertise, and we are building on that land. Whatever income is being generated, you get proportionate size of it on your investment, right? Now, let's move a bit forward. We have the options that we have is 10 square meters, 20 square meters, 50 square meters, 100 square meters, and 400 square meters, right? We are providing options for people to buy in at 1 million, so you can spread 100,000 naira for the next 12 months. We have 2 million, we have 5 million, we have 10 million, we have 40 million. Now that depends on people that are buying, right? In terms of how much you can potentially earn from resorts like this, typically when it comes to resort style, the prices are quite different. It's slightly higher. And the reason for that is just the experience generally of what the people would actually go for. It's not a hotel, it's not a shotlet, right? The experience is far bigger. So what we are even putting out here is a very conservative price point of 80,000 naira per night, right? There is no resorts that has a studio priced at 80,000 naira per night. It's not even. But I do know that if you start off with this price, we typically, for all of our co-ownership offering, if you start off with a low tier amount, it gets the ball rolling. So cash is just constantly coming in, right? In terms of what the nights we are booking, typically we are working with 180 nights in a year. So we are not expecting to be fully booked throughout the year, and that is fine. We just want to make sure that within the 180 nights, you're able to see some bookings done, right? So I think that's important. So we've drastically cut down, just imagine 360 days and you're getting 180 nights. We drastically cut down what people can actually, book on the platform or on the asset itself. So that's important. And we had another tier where you can earn 100,000 naira per night, right? And what you can see here is that each property has the ability to, earn income for each person. So if you're buying 10 square meters, you're able to earn a monthly yield of 90,000 naira on the resorts, right? If you're buying 20 square meters, you're able to earn 180,000 naira in the resorts. And depends on the pools that you're able to buy, but there are 4 pools. There's only four 400 square meters, right, available. And that is fixed. We are not expanding it. These 400 square meters, there are only 4 available. So if someone buys the whole 4, everybody's locked out, right? So that is the value we are positioning this as. In each 400 square meters, we are building 10 units of studio apartments, right? Some of them would have 12 units, some of them will have 10 units. But on each block, if you participate in each block, you're essentially owning 4 units of the studio apartments. So if each block has 10 units, you're taking 4 units as part of the co-owners, and that's your own share of the asset itself. So whatever you're buying 10 square meters, you're buying 20 square meters, you're buying 50 square meters, it really doesn't matter. The person that bought the 400 square meters owns all the 4 units in the apartments. Yeah. Now, there is a structured plan, right? Obviously, Keble has the outright plan, but you can spread the payment for 6 months, for 12 months, really depends on you, and that's fine, depending on what you're paying for, right? So we have 10 square meters, we have 20 square meters, we have 50 square meters, again, we have 100 square meters, and we have 400 square meters. There are only 4, I think 5, 5 options available for people to key into, and this allows for you to participate on that front. Now, what are you getting? What's the end goal? We want to convert this opportunity into studio boutique hotels or resorts, right? And this comes fully furnished. It comes with solar powered. It comes with every single thing that would allow people to experience something quite unique on their own, right? Now, this means that the price in which we're exiting these studios is upwards of 50 million, right? Because the income being generated by these studios are quite substantial. So if you're interested in something that would yield consistent income in a resort location, this is a pool that makes sense. Now, what does the outcome look like? For example, if you buy into, let's pick the lowest here, 10 square meters of the pool, right? You're able to pay in 1 million. You can spread it as long as 12 months, 6 months, that depends on you. The outcome at the end of the day is 5 times. So you're getting the value of the studio at the end of the day is going for each one is going for 50 million. So that's 5 million accrued to whoever is paying 10 square meters of land. Now, these are deals that typically are structured in a way that only a handful of individuals would push. Actually, we are currently pitching this to, I think, 2 communities, and they're buying 400 square meters each, right? So the idea is that you can be able to participate in 1, 2, 3 of these options. And the exit plan for you is, if you choose to exit, really is around 5 million, right? If you also choose to say, hey, I don't really want to exit, I want to keep getting my cash flow, I want to transfer this to my kids, the value will keep growing over time, and I want to still be able to hold on to this over time. You have the ability to do that as well, right? And income is growing as well for you. We do have secondary markets for all the co-ownership options. So for people that are familiar with our co-ownership option, you have the ability to sell off your units, right? And get paid for that. Obviously, the co-owners have first right of refusal before we share it off to the general public. The reason why we have first right of refusal is that it allows you to, or it allows the individuals that have already bought in, because some people want to buy more. If you're earning income from something, you want to own more of it. You don't want to own less of it, right? So the idea is that you're able to actually own more of the assets over time, if that makes sense to you. Then we're also adding utilities to it. And the reason why we always add the utility component is a lot of people feel like when they buy land or when they buy real estate, they have to be stuck in the assets. And I disagree completely with that premise. I think that land investments in real estate might not be as liquid as any other thing, but you do not have to be stuck, right? So what we are doing is, aside from you earning, cash flow, monthly rental income, obviously when you're buying 10 square meters to 90 square meters or 99 square meters, you do not have any complimentary night stays, right? However, you do have credit eligibility. And what that means is that you can, because of the asset is generating income, because the asset is generating income, you can essentially use that as collateral to, start a business. The asset has grown. That means you can, something that you bought for 1 million is 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. The upper limit of credit that you can actually generate also increases as well, right? So that's something that we're uniquely positioned to offer people that buy into the tier 1. There's also tier 2 where if you buy 100 square meters, you get 2 complimentary night stays, right? You have a great view. Each of the rooms have a really good balcony, so that's perfect for you. You also have liquidity advantage as well, right? And for individuals that are buying into the 400 square meters, your rights, obviously, you have your rental income paid to you. You have 10 nights free every single year. You also have fully paid first year membership for the polo club, right? So if you're thinking of, who are the individuals that will buy into, that want to play polo with me, want to experience something like this in the first year, if you want to have access to executive networking and clubhouse amenities, we're paying for that in your first year. So you get to experience that just by buying a piece of this. And lastly, obviously, there is a credit eligibility standpoint of this, so you can actually access way more because you own more as well. So these are just like basic details. We have construction target between the year 2 and year 3. So this is pending approvals. We will start this regardless. So we are waiting to make sure that everybody or certain people are actually locked in and we can go full force on this. The land is already secured. Financing is currently being raised, and you can actually own a piece of this option. The other advantage is there's a secondary market. So if you buy into this, you can easily exit at your own pace as the value continues to grow. I know people you can ask questions as much as you like, but we have another thing to show before the questions kick off. Yeah. So there is a form. I know you have plenty of questions, but there is a form and there are 2 more slides to finish up. So once we finish that, I think we can ask as many questions as we want. For the form, Francis, please share the form on the group. If this is something you're remotely interested in, and you want us to reach out to you, you want us to have a conversation about it, please, the link is on the chat. You can fill in your information. You can fill in how much you're thinking of earning. We can create some structure for you as well and make it quite flexible for you. If that's something you're interested in, please send a message or fill the form, then we'll be able to move from there. Okay, the form is there. So while that is going, I'll probably refer to the form later, but I want to just wrap up the presentation. Okay. Fantastic. So key takeaways, resort land is more than just a property. Once the resort is built, it can bring in income, guest services. Your plot becomes part of a place that earns income, right? So I think that's very useful. So people buy land and they wait, which is fine. But this is an alternative to not just buy land, but you can actually earn from that plot, right? The value of the resort depends on its location in the Ibadan Growth Corridor, the lifestyle it offers, like polo, spa, sports, and nature, and how easy it is to reach by road or rail. So I think that's very useful for in terms of location, infrastructure, amenities, right? All these factors need to work together for the best possible returns. Investing early gives you the biggest advantage. If you buy now, you pay less as new features are added and more people become interested, the chances for profit and steady income increases. So I think that that's also a valuable takeaway. I think the last thing to take home with is Cardiff Poland Resort is a chance to own early in a lifestyle. Sorry, let me share this. Yeah, in a lifestyle-driven resort community built around polo, sports, wellness, nature, hospitality, and future cash flow potential. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can start with 10 square meters and you can build that over time. Please, you're able to fill the form and someone from Keble will reach out to you within the next 24 hours to book a call with you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys learned about land, you guys learned about resorts, you guys learned about income plots. I think I wrote something last year about it and people were really interested in following through. I think something I need to revisit. It's interesting, it's not new, but I think technology allows us to create some level of off-ramp that allows a lot of people to participate with it, so very useful for individuals that want to upscale what they're earning or have some high leverage when they are buying into land offers. Yeah. And I think for people that don't know why they should buy land or don't understand if they should buy land here or there, and they are looking for options to exit, or they're looking for something that still gives them cash flow, some flexibility there, I think this is a unique opportunity to participate. And I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys that register. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think questions can start rolling in. If you have questions, you can type it and raise your hands and we're good to go. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Josemaria, for that insightful session. I'm sure many of us have learned a lot from that. So let's move on to questions. We had a number of people raise their hands up. So please, if you have a question and you'd like to speak, please raise your hand up. Or I'll be reading out some questions we have. William said, what's the expected completion date for this project and when can one start earning income?
Yeah, so we're in 2026. Yeah. We would start construction late 2027 and that would be completed by the end of 2028. So that's pretty much our goal at this point. And that's the plan to start earning. Once we're done, I think it roughly takes us, give or take, 6 to 12 months and we're good to go. So construction starts late next year. Yeah, for people that's interested in the project. But you buy the land and the land is still there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Oluwabumi has an answer. Please ask your question.
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
So just a simple question. This is Cardiff. I'm guessing it's also inside of your Cardiff city. What if someone already owns a property in Cardiff with you? Are they not eligible to use it under this, or it's not allowed at all?
So there is Cardiff City and there is Cardiff Polo, right? So there are two different assets, right? Cardiff City is structured as purely residential. It doesn't have any resorts amenities. So people that are buying solely for land banking, there is no plan to actually construct in that land in the next 12 months, right? So it's solely for land banking. It's slightly priced lower because of that. So people can come in and just buy the land and hold for, the next 2, 3 years, 5 years, and that's fine. For Cardiff Polo, people have bought into the land, right? But they prioritize construction because they've started construction, right? So if you bought into Cardiff, it's most imperative that you start construction as soon as possible, or you have the intent to start construction as soon as possible. So when we bought it, our goal was to make sure that we are building something here that stands as an income asset and people can be able to participate from there. So I think that's important. The next thing is on the side of, for people that outside of our own units, can they do this? Yes, they can. Right, it's fine for them to do it, but there are no new units being sold. Everything has been sold out. So it's for people that maybe have larger share in the estates, that can syndicate, that are able to do things like this and do it better. Right. So I think that's important. We will not take in additional workload that we do not have control over and we cannot manage expectations from. So I think that's where we stand on this one.
All right. Two other questions just to follow on. Right. Drop a mic. I have two properties that I'm working with your team on already. So if I go on to this will make it the third one. Now, my concern with a lot of the properties is the timelines.
Fantastic.
So where you have one completing payment in a certain period and it has to wait 12 to whole 18 months.
Yes.
We get that return. It just seems like that money would have been put to another use that would have gotten returns faster. And then one could only then put the money towards when the project is ready. After that money to make some bit of cash for yourself. So how are you mitigating that really? Because I'm hearing this is 2 to 3 years. In my head, I'm now saying to myself, if I'm putting 5 million naira down on this, that 5 million could quickly get me something within 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Rather than just putting it and waiting without getting any income for the next 2 to 3 years.
Valid question.
And then the last one is.
Okay, you can answer it last.
Okay, the last one is, considering you're putting a fixed amount of square meter and all of that, if I start with something now and I quickly see funds to increase, how easy is it for me to just say I want to increase my square meters? Okay.
All right. So, I mean, this is one of the, thank you so much for the questions. I really appreciate it. This is one of the, well, I say constraints that we're having, right? Which is timeline, right? And that's why primarily one of the things that we do first is to work with developers that we do have some confidence in, and we do have some understanding of how they're able to deliver. And this is not their first, second project, or this is something that they've delivered multiple times. So I think that is the first thing that we focus on. And for every single project that we've done on the co-ownership side, they are all sticking to the timeline, right? And the reason why they're sticking to that timeline is, for example, we have Regal. If you bought into Regal, Regal is fully painted now. They were meant to do handover today, but I think something happened and was moved because of the rain that is happening throughout the whole week. But done in record time. Nov, done record time. Ibudura, done record time. They're even finishing up on, I say phase 2 at this point. And this is just still 8 months into the holding of the financing of the projects or buying into the projects. And you're seeing them, finishing up as well. So I think this track record is important. Obviously, there is the risk of, a couple of months being added, 2-3 months, but track record of seeing that projects are being delivered on time is actually a good sign. And we're sticking to developers that have proven that within our own network, and we're able to partner with them at scale. So I think that's one. The second component is maximizing on capital appreciation as you're holding. So every single time, I think we reviewed assets pricing, I think June 1st. So whoever bought No, for example, and they bought it at, I don't know, 500K, right? And they're paying every single month. The price now is over 560K plus, right? And it's still even at a discount at 560K now if they're paying. So they're not just standing there and they're not earning income. Every single time the asset is actually valued at a newer price and they get to benefit from that. Newer people coming in are paying at a slightly higher price. People that have locked in at a certain price are paying at the old price. So whatever ratio of income in terms of yield that they are getting, older people are getting more because they took the risk to come in early, right? And this is almost across every single asset that we have now. So all the ownership properties have actually gone up in price, and that has allowed for individuals that are still waiting, right, to benefit from capital appreciation while waiting for income as well. This allows for us to be able to participate properly in some of these assets. Now, when the property is done and dusted and they are selling it into the market, they're already selling it at some marked up price, right? And we're almost at the same timeline. And everybody and developer will not be willing to wait for, 6 months, 12 months. Everybody's paying small. They're paying 12 months. It's easier for everybody to participate on that front. And that's great. But when the property is done, they want you to finish your payments in 3 months. Now, to convert a 200 million asset and tell everybody to pay it in 3 months, it's a tall order for most people, right? And that's because the asset is done. They are moving on to the next thing, right? While the project is still under construction and you're paying in phases, you're able to manage expectations on both sides, and people are benefiting from one, capital appreciation, while you're still holding on to it, right? And the second thing is that you do not get the ability to pay at a very substantial premium when the property is done. So I think we'll probably launch one that is fully built and see how people react to it. But the model at that point will be it's going to be shorter. So people would have to pay within a 3 months timeline and see how that works out for them. So I think that's something that we can introduce, because I think it's a recurring question, and I think it's valuable to pay attention to that over time. For the second question, which is if you bought into the 10 square meters or you bought in 20 square meters and you want to add, it really depends on if it's available. Yes, it's very easy for you to buy. If it's available, that's fantastic. It's easier for you to top up and buy more. So I think it's a given. If it's available, yes, you can easily top up and buy into it. So I think that is where we are at that front. I hope this is able to answer all your questions.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I filled the form, so I just await your data.
Awesome. Thank you. Martha.
All right. We have another question. Is Cardiff Polo on the app? And then another one is Keble SEC regulated.
Fantastic. Okay, so Cardiff Polo on the app, it's coming soon, so it's not on the app yet. It should be up hopefully by Monday, right? So hopefully if we are able to fill the form, we'll have a conversation with you, and by next week, that should be sorted out, right? So I think that's important. Second question is Keble SEC license. Keble is primarily a real estate firm. So some of the licenses that we have are around making sure that we have a SCUMO license. So that's one. The second thing that we have is Laceria license that allows us to sell, is a real estate license that allows us to sell assets to individuals, right? So that's one, or that's second. The third thing that we also make sure is that there are other permits that are involved in building of each of the units, which is very important. Without those units, you see issues where, someone is building and all of a sudden there is a collapse on that building, right? Those things are far more important when it comes to certifications or licenses, right? So we spend a lot of time on the ground making sure that the assets themselves or the asset that we have are fully in the purview of what the government says they want the assets to be, right? So primarily that is our focus, right? If that is not done well, no yield can be generated. So we spend time with, again, we have permits from EFCC, SCUMO to make sure that what we are doing is regulated. The second thing is that we have Laceria license that's given to us by Lagos State. The last and most important thing is that we spend a lot of time on documentation, right? So every single permit that is needed, building permits to make sure that each of the assets are provided in good standard is provided to us. And I think we stick to that and be able to provide, the best possible returns for everybody. Next questions.
All right. do you have a physical office in Lagos and Ibadan? If yes, can one pay a visit before investing?
Yeah, sure. You can come on Monday. We have an office. I think some should type it actually. That's really. You can come to the office. If you do not see me, I'm sure you'll find maybe a receptionist there. But I think that it's possible for you to meet someone that'll be able to talk to you. Just let us know if that's an issue. Not a problem.
Okay.
Please.
Is this different from the Cardiff City already in the platform?
Is this different from what?
Is this different from the Cardiff City already on your platform?
Yeah, it's much different. It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah. So like I said, I think I mentioned earlier that the Cardiff City is focused on, if you're buying the land, it's focused on like long-term holdings, right? So if you want to do land banking, it's not a resort, like there's no infrastructure for resorts, right? Being built there. It's just like, I want to build an estate, I want to be residential, and that's focused on it. That's completely different, right, from Cardiff Polo, right? So the infrastructure there is not built for resort like, formats. Yeah. So that should go, like I said, it should go live on Monday. Yeah, Monday. Martha?
All right. Someone asks, can we get a PDF of the documents you shared? And someone also asks, is Keble listed on the Nigeria stock market? I think you've answered some.
No, we're not listed on the Nigerian stock markets, but that would be nice. Yeah. Do you have a document or plan on what is proposed result of it? Yeah, we do. But we do. Awesome.
Okay. And one last question. When
Sure.
does income start with Ibudowera?
Income, I think I went there yesterday. They're doing full handover in the next 30 days. So what they were focused on was the final road network. So they're doing interlocking at this point. Before you would just see like bare sand land, but now they're doing the interlocking. Hopefully they should be opening up the estate for residential use in the next 30 days. Once that is opened and we've complete the payments, I think we have like 2 more months to make payments. So I think Q3 we should be pushing things out in full force. Obviously we have to buy the furniture, get everything settled and list it. That'll probably take maybe 3 weeks to do. But once it's done, everything is in good for us. So all good to go. So give or take in the next 3 months, should be up and running. Yeah.
All right. I think there's one last question. Someone said, would the videos be available on YouTube?
Like this one, that I don't know. I think Francis would help. I don't know.
Yes, it's true.
Oh,
It's true.
Okay, fantastic. He said he will, so that answers it.
all right then. I think we're done with the question.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Please, again, if you're interested, please fill the form. That is the only way we would know if you're interested. We are also speaking to communities as well. So if you have a community that might be interested in this would be a great offer for, I think that would be helpful. So let me once again tell everybody thank you for taking time. I think we spent roughly 1 hour 30 minutes on this call. So I really appreciate everyone's time, everyone asking their questions, and thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Take care, everybody.